Hello, everybody. Welcome to Long Bangers podcast. This is episode number 7. I'm joined tonight by Brian. Brian, how are you doing?
Bonjour. Not bad. Yourself?
I'm very good. So, just been having a wee look online at the Edinburgh Festival. You been anything there?
No, I haven't. I'm off on holiday. I've got a 12-year-old son that refuses to leave the house. So not for me. You been?
No, but I saw the joke that won it. Did you see this? It was for a guy called Olaf Falafel. I don't know if that's his real name. And his joke was, I keep randomly shouting out broccoli and cauliflower. I think I've got florets. Right? And what I was reading, so that's fair enough. But the Tourette Society were up in arms about it. They got really offended. And I thought, they've got a cheek. The first thing that sprung to mind is like, everybody to get offended. Come on.
That's true. That's a better introduction than the lettuce gag last week.
Better than that. I think I've beat the boys' gag as well. So if anybody for the Fringe is listening, I'm available for weddings and bar mitzvahs, etc. Right, so you've been up at Trent tonight, not your usual, just because you live there, but because you were watching the young Hibs team. How did that go?
It was all right. It was all right. There was not a bad crowd there, actually. I think there was maybe 400.
That's decent, eh?
It was, and I was 5 tickets away from winning the half-time draw, which was not so good. I was cussing my son because he was urging me. He was standing outside the bookies before we went there, urging me to hurry up. So I've been cussing him because if he'd let me pick another team, I dare say somebody would have been in ahead of me getting the tickets. I would have went in behind them and I would have scooped, I think it was 66 quid.
That's all right.
I would have paid for a chippy on the way home, but no, I missed that. The game itself was not a bad game, actually. Quite competitive. Hibs had a young team out. I think Sean Mackey was probably the most well-known Hibs player, if you like, that was on the park. Finished 2-0. Jamie Gillan got the two of them, took his goals really well. And then, unfortunately, young Ben Miller, that plays for Trinent, he made the ridiculous decision to go for a 50-50 with Big Siddiqui, the centre-back.
He's a man mountain, that Siddiqui, isn't he? He's absolutely massive.
He's colossal. And he came off worse, and he left with his leg in a brace, so fingers crossed he makes a speedy recovery. And I think with the night sort of drawn in, and with the young lad lying on the pitch getting treatment, the referee, probably with about 5-10 minutes to go anyway, just wisely blew the full-time whistle. But from what I've seen, it wasn't a bad game. I had my son was unfortunately in front of me, and I think I spent a fair portion of the game analysing the size of his head, which is it's actually shaped like a cyclist's helmet. It's ridiculous. So the Jamie Gillan scored 2, and my son's got a massive napper.
Is he good on a bike? Or?
No. To be fair, it was just a surprise to get him out the house and drag him out. You get the usual, how far away is it? Do we need to walk?
Did they answer you? Touché.
It was all right.
Me and my son went to see the development team against Dunfermline at Kelty. They played at Kelty Hearts at the back end of last season, and Siddiqui was playing there. And but you notice the size of him, is it looks like he's got somebody else's shirt and shorts on.
Aye.
He's a big lad.
Absolutely. He's huge. I mean, it's tough to tell. It's a friendly against the junior side, essentially. But he looks the part. Put it that way. You know, the height, the physicality of him. He's a big, strong boy. But no, it was good. It was good to see and the young lads up close, and Hibs had a good following in terms of backroom staff, etc. I've seen Eddie May was there. I think good. Grant Murray, Mr. Heckenbottom, and Mr. Stockdale were there. So was George Craig, and I actually ended up in the at half time. My brother-in-law, Matthew, is one of the sort of backers, if you like, of Trinent.
Right.
Himself and the company we work for, Impact, they've put a fair bit of money into sponsorship, etc. for Trinent. So I had the privilege of going in at half time into the wee sort of hospitality suite, if you like, and Mr. Heckingbottom was there. So was Robbie Stockdale and George Craig, and it was one of those ones where I'm looking at the three of them. I was half expecting Heckingbottom to pick me out and say, you prick, you were shouting abuse at me in the East Stand on Saturday.
What did you say about my name?
Aye, but no, I can confirm he is immaculately dressed. Robbie Stockdale, in comparison to Heckingbottom, looked like he just escaped from a skip. But in isolation, he was quite smart with the rest. George Craig, I didn't really want to get into a conversation with him because my son's bedtime's normally about 10 o'clock.
Oh, George can talk.
And I knew, if I spoke to George, it was going to be a lock-in. But my other brother-in-law, Brian Morrison, who'd actually asked for a wee shout-out this week, so there he is.
Oh, hello, Brian.
Hello, Brian. He kind of broke the silence. It's like we were all sat there, and I'm thinking, should I speak to him? Should I say something to him? It was one of those. It kind of took us back to being 7-year-old and being in the company of Tony Drago again. It's like, should I speak to him or no? But our brother-in-law had said if any more signings, and it was funny because George, Robbie, and Paul were kind of looking at the pictures on the wall with the Trinent teams of yesteryear, etc. And then my wee brother-in-law, just in his wee voice, just went, "So is there any new signings?" And the three of them, it was like you were on The Voice. The three of them just spun round and looked at him. And Heckingbottom would say, "They went, it's no my money," which is a perfect time for me to shout, "It's no your granny." Either, but he just said, "It's no my money," and you're talking about Tourette's. It was almost like Tourette's, without even building into a question or that. I just uttered the words, "Greg Docherty," and he looked at me as if I was an idiot. And he went, "Yeah, he's a good player." And he says, "Yeah, a lot of money." I went, "Aye, he is." And the only other interaction I had with him was as we were walking back out to the pitch. I touched his lower back and asked him if he was hungry because he had an egg mayonnaise sandwich in each hand. And that's a wee claim to fame for me. Not, well, is he more famous than Tony Drago?
I doubt it. He's certainly won like snooker competitions.
He has, aye. But no, it was immaculately dressed, I can confirm. And it was good to see for a friendly for the development team, having him been there, Robbie Stockdale been there, taking that interest and turning up, etc. It was good crowd. Not a bad game, not a brilliant game, but certainly a good run out for the younger lads and for Trinent as well to be able to host.
And a nice night for it as well, wasn't it?
It was. It was a nice night. Although about 4, 4:30, for absolutely nowhere, we had a downpour,
a torrential downpour,
biblical proportions. Aye. It just came from absolutely nowhere. It was hammering down. But no, if anything, that just made the surface a wee bit slicker for some nice passing. So, aye, it was an evening well spent, and it confirms that my son's not actually agoraphobic as well, because I got him out the house. So
that's a positive thing.
Definitely.
Right, rerunning order. Right, so last week I was in a wee thank you to everybody who'd listened and shared the podcast, and I suppose I should repeat that. But one person that I missed that I really meant to call out was Malky off of Twitter, who's at Malky1875, who has been tremendous in tweeting GIFs, recreating them and tweeting them, promoting the show. So Malky, absolute legend, keep up the good work.
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry for missing you.
He's just followed me on Twitter as well, and I've just I've followed him back on Twitter, not in real life because I'm not allowed to do that anymore to people.
No, one of those restrictive orders.
Aye, society's went to pot, isn't it? You can't do anything these days.
They want a little bit of stock, and then all of a sudden you got to answer to a man in a silly wig. So
Aye.
Aye, what's the world coming to?
I hate getting a telling off the dad.
Right, we've got a wee bit of running order for the night, so hopefully this goes smoothly and I remember to do it all, because I'm quite bad for getting carried away with these things and jumping about and then realising we're about a minute to go. No, we're meant to have done this. So we've got the Morton game to look at and kind of pick apart. We've got Desert Island Pricks, and we have to settle with Desert Island Pricks because it was brought to my attention that there is already a Desert Island Dicks podcast on the go. So I don't want to be done for copyright or anything like that, because I'm sure they'll be listening. Do you know?
No, of course.
Who wouldn't it be?
No, definitely.
And although there were some key differences, if the lawyers are listening, because didn't they specify that it had to be sports people, and we did. So if anything, ours is better. But we'll go to Desert Island Pricks. We'll cover them because some folk have sent in some good ones. We've got some famous encounters as well sent in from people who had listened last week. We'll look at our left back for the 2010 best 11. I think that again will be as easy as last week's right back one was. A new feature called Duncan Dares. Looking forward to getting that one in. I'll have a wee look at St Johnstone game coming up at the weekend, and we should have time to fit in snack of the week. Does that all sound all right?
I think we can manage that.
Right, so did I miss anything? Morton was the first thing we were looking at. Right, where do you even start with the Morton game?
I think each time you've asked me to report back on a Hibs game, I've started with this noise, so I may as well start with it again, which is simply just a...
It's a good noise, to be fair.
It is, and Saturday was one of those games that deserved that noise. I cannot remember ever leaving Easter Road having scored 5 goals and been raging, angry.
So what was it that made you angry?
I don't know. I think to go 2-0 up, and don't get me wrong, it was Harlem Globetrotter stuff. But to be 2-0 up, looking composed, having all the ball, without looking like, we were going to run riot. But to have all that possession, be in complete control, and then suddenly you're going in at half-time at 2-2. And I've touched on it before. I've said it before about myself, and I'm one of the last ones to moan, if you like. I always think players, management, they should be given time. Give them time. Yet I found myself booing quite loudly at half-time.
I think there was a frustration, wasn't there? I mean, look at the match thread even, because I go into a game, like afterwards, I'll go and say, how I feel about the game, is it fair enough? And you look up until we scored, I thought we played well. Look in the match day thread on Hibsnet, very positive. Folks saying, doing really well here, looking good, playing some good attacking football, very comfortable. And then next thing, it's 2 each. And everybody's gone absolutely tonto about it, and probably for good reason as well.
It came from nowhere, and it was just, we got ourselves into a position we should never have been in at half time. And then you're thinking, right, this is a big 15 minutes for him at half time. Get them out and get them out firing. We've went ahead again. They've had a few chances. We've had a few chances, certainly, as well. There's no denying that. But you're going into sort of 5-6 minutes to go, and Hibs are taking their time, wasting time. We should never have been in that position. Yeah. Then we've conceded a goal, another own goal. I'm not blaming Whittaker for it. It could have been anybody. But we should never have been in that position in the first place. Extra time, fair enough. We've we've put the game to bed. But just, I don't know. Again, I'm scratching my head and wondering what the game plan is. What is the style here? Our second goal, for example, was terrific. That was a high press. You had David Gray right up on their left back. I think you probably could have You could have put a king-size duvet over 3 Hibs players on that left back, because they were all at him, attacking him. We got the ball, played it, goal, Josh Vella, brilliant. That's what you want to see. But I don't know. It might have just been me. I might have just been in a bad mood. But I found it inconceivable that we could go in at half time at 2-2, having been so dominant, I suppose, without looking like, we were going to slice them open every time we attacked, but just such a dominant performance where they were never in it.
Aye.
And then it's 2-2, and you're thinking, where did that come from? And the the atmosphere in the stands at that point was quite toxic, if I'm being honest. And this is where you're looking at his record this season. Played 7, I think, won 5, drew 1, lost 1, albeit that the loss that we had was an absolute tonkin. And you're still not convinced. And people are wanting him to go and asking for him to go. And I'd seen he was getting abuse on Twitter, etc., which is ridiculous. But from anybody for the outside, I mean, if Hibs were to sack the manager now, for example, anybody for the outside looking in would probably think that's the new owner. The new American boy's come in. He's not happy. He's doing a Romanov. He's just sacking people. But being inside the club, or being close to the club and seeing it, you can see where people are coming from. And I hope everybody's wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong, because with 5 wins out of 7, we shouldn't really be questioning the manager.
That's the weirdest bit about it. Is if you look on paper at how we're doing well. And even if you take the last season, so when he came in, great run, gets us into the top 6. I don't think anybody expected us to be spectacular once we were in the top 6, but we finished 5th, finished above Hearts, which you're always looking to do. And then you come into this season, and the results haven't been, Rangers game aside, because that was a bad result, results haven't been bad. And in spells, in games, performances have been good. But then we're having these other big spells in games where it's just, like what's the expression is meh. Do you know, there's nothing to get excited about. But with the mental thing is, we didn't look terrible either. We don't look like a team who's going to just ship a goal at the drop of a hat, but then we do. It's such a weird thing. So I don't know if it's a confidence thing, or whether it's the case that we've got a lot of players in who are new to the league, and maybe they're just taking a wee bit of time to settle. There's the argument, and a lot of folk are making the point online is, or asking the question whether or not the signings are good enough. I think they are. I don't think you get a career in the game that these boys have had if you're not good enough. But they need to step up. Like, they need to grow into life at Hibs, and they need to grow into it fast.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think there was it was an Aberdeen player, actually, I read today, I'm sure, who'd said about the new signings that are coming for them, and they never realised how big a club Aberdeen was, and the pressure you've got, the expectations to win each games. It might be the same for us. I mean, we rightfully came in for a wee bit of abuse on Twitter over the last week, where we'd mentioned League 1, League 2 players. It's Championship and League 1 players, if you like. And you're right, these guys, you don't make a career in football by being a bad player. And there's not, I don't think any of them are bad players, any of the new signings. Christian Deutsch on Saturday, I actually thought he was offside, to be fair. But he took his goal really, really well. He came on, and even when he came on, it's like folk were waiting for him to do something wrong so they could get on his back. And at that point where he came on, Hibs were kind of playing along. He won a few knock-ons. If there was a Hibs player on the end of it, it was a great knockdown. It was a great through ball. But he won his physical battles. He took his goal well. Adam Jackson, he came on for McGregor. I thought Jackson was superb. I really did. And then I came home and I've read Hibs.net, and he was getting slated left, right and centre. But I thought when he came on, I mean, it was clear to see within the first 5 minutes of that game, Glenn Middleton was the outball. He was hugging that touchline. And And that was the ball every single time. As soon as Hibs got the ball, there was at least 15, 20 yards between him and their right back. And Jackson found him pretty much on his, landed the ball on his toes every time. I thought he was superb when he came on. And then, like I say, I've read that and I've thought, maybe I'm watching the wrong game. But he was coming in for a bit of criticism. But I don't think, like I say, I don't think they're bad players at all. And I think you're right. They maybe just need a wee bit of time to get up to speed. Maybe what's maybe causing a bit of... I was trying to think of it today, what's maybe causing it. And it possibly could be the fact that we have brought them in early, which is a first for Hibs in a sense. We've pretty much got all our players in early doors, and maybe that's the frustration. We've had all pre-season, we've had pre-season games. Why is it not clicked into gear so far?
Yeah.
I also think, and it wasn't really until today I thought about it, a lot of the frustration might come for the fact that Ron Gordon's coming with this investment, etc.
Aye.
And since he's coming, I think I think Josh Vella and Glenn Middleton. Am I right in saying that's the only two we've signed since he come in?
Do you know, without checking, I think you're right. So if anybody wants to correct us on that, you can, but I think you're right, Whip.
Aye. Which even then, I touched on it last week. I think that the players have signed very early doors was done knowing there was money coming into the club. Mm-hmm. But from a fan's perspective, this boy's come in, and rightly or wrongly, any football fan whose club's just been taken over by a multi-millionaire, you're expecting investment. I certainly was. I was expecting to come in and, here we go. We've already got 5 or 6 players brought in, but this guy's come in. We're going to start shelling out transfer fees and getting players in 4 or 5 grand a week. And because that's not happened, maybe that's where a lot of the frustrations come as well. There was such a massive high when he came in. And we've not really kicked on, if you like. But like you said, on paper, we've done not too badly. I think since Heckingbottom came in, I'm sure it was last week I seen it, there was a league table of matches since he came in, and Hibs are comfortably sitting in third out of the 12 teams. So he's not been that bad.
No, it's a funny thing, isn't it? Like,
it is.
Hi. And even the thing that gets me is that I think there's a real split in the support there now. There's some folk who've already kind of made up their mind, I think, to say, nah, he's not a man. We're playing Calderwood or Fenland type football. And then there's a group of folk who, I don't think anybody's totally swung in his favour. I don't think anybody's can hand on heart say, I'm 100% confident he's the right guy. But there's a lot of folk still on the fence with it. But the weird thing for me, the weird phenomenon is, for the folk who've already written him off, there is nothing that he can do or say at the moment that they will acknowledge as a positive. You look at the goals we scored. So 5 goals on Saturday, and fair enough, it's Mortimer playing, but they're all cracking goals. Like if they'd happened under Lennon or happened under Stubbs, we would be raving about them. They were good goals, and we got bad results under those managers as well. We had some terrible performances under those managers as well. But that acknowledgement that those were good goals, it's just not there because it's outweighed by what's perceived to be this mundane, boring, plodding football.
Aye, I mean, I think did Morton not give us a hiding? What? Under Stubbs
3-0, aye. And I'm sure that was on a night where we had the opportunity to kind of either close the gap at the top of the league or maybe go top, if I remember right. It was quite a big night for us where a result would have been important for us, and we got a chase in. And I'm sure Lennon got knocked out of the cup by Queen of the South 4-2. It's not like bad results in this competition are unheard of, or bad performances are unheard of, but the real worrying thing from Heckingbottom's point of view must be the fact that he's winning games and still no getting a groundswell of opinion behind him to say, let's get behind this guy, he's the right man for us.
Aye. It's almost as if we're winning in spite of him. And that's... It's hard to get back for that if people have made their mind up on it and using any excuse to jump on. And I'm absolutely guilty of it as well. And that's what concerns me is the fact that I'm usually one of the last. I'm usually one of the ones to say, give him time or let people settle in, etc. But I'm concerned with it because I'm not seeing the signs of progress, if you like. I look at the back four on Saturday there. Now, that's a back four that has served us very, very well the last few years.
Yeah.
They're no young laddies. Gray, Hanlon, McGregor, Stevenson. Fair enough, Gray and Stevenson were chucked in. They're just back for injury. So they're maybe a wee bit rusty. But then if that's the case, are we right to be 50% of your back four that are no match fit? Should we have the two of them in this? Should it have just been one of them? Or none of them? But the manner in which we conceded the goals wasn't great. And that's, like I say, that's a back four that's done us really proud the last few years. Maxwell, for their second goal, I mean, I could have run for the East Stand and put my hat on that ball, and it looked as if somebody had handcuffed him with a near post. And even very early on, he's listen. You have to go a long way to find someone whose distribution's worse than Marciano's. Marciano boots out the park, but at least he does it quickly.
Yeah,
this boy was taking an absolute age at times, and Hibs fans, it wasn't just me, were screaming at him. He'd get the ball in his hands, the right back or the left back naturally make their way to the touchline to open it up for the ball, and he's looking at them and should I know? Maybe just keep a hold of it. Fuck, what are you playing at? As much as a keeper, he's the one that can set the tempo as well. Get the ball in your hands and get it out quickly. Get us up the park.
Aye.
And his distribution everything just seemed very lethargic with him. I'm not trying to jump on his back, but he wasn't pass marks for me. I don't know. It was just I probably fell into that trap as well on Saturday, where, like I say, you score 5 goals and you're walking out there unhappy. And maybe I'm guilty of that. And I've the way I feel now on Saturday is night and day. The way I feel now compared to Saturday is night and day. I'm a lot calmer with it now. But at the time I walked out there thinking, this isn't. We've scored 5 goals and it's not what I want to see. How do you square that up in your mind?
It's such a weird thing. The important thing for me is we found a way to win. And if you're looking for positives in the game, well, there's a game where we've been comfortably in front, conceded 2 stupid goals, and then Morton's tails have been up, but we've taken the lead again. They've come back right to the death. They've got a wee break in the box, and then we've come back at them again. So it would have been easy, I think, for the team after the chasing at Ibrox to have crumbled a bit and just kind of let the heads go down and all the rest of it. They're clearly fighting for the manager and clearly playing for each other to be able to go and still win that game, find a way to win. I tell you, the point where I mellowed out about it was watching the draw and seeing her name in it. I think ultimately that's what's important, because you want to be in the next round. And the same when we go to Kilmarnock, if it's not a classic, but we're in a semi-final, I take that every day rather than playing well and getting knocked out. Ideally, you want to play well and go through. But if it's a scrappy game and we manage to find a way to win, I'll take that. And if we did it all the way to the cup final and all the way to win the cup, I would be absolutely delighted with that.
Oh, of course, you'd be running through the streets ball naked.
Well, even if we didn't, to be fair.
Well, that's just a normal Saturday night.
There we go. It's 5.
Where are you going? Out.
Like that. Aye.
But you're right. You'll take anyone. Our name was in the hat for the draw, and that's the be all and end all. I think we maybe, me included, maybe just need to. I'm not saying reset the expectations or dull them down a bit, because we've been through it before. You get that wee smattering of success, or where it looks like you're on the cusp of glory, and then you get a couple of years of mediocrity. I'm not for 1 minute saying that's what we should accept, because we shouldn't. We're Hibs. We should. Third should be the target at the very least every season, and our name on a cup, any of the 2 cups. That should be the target. So I'm not for 1 second saying we should lower the expectations a bit, but are we maybe expecting a wee bit too much too soon for Heckingbottom? I don't know.
Aye.
I've got concerns here and there about it, but I'm actually reining myself in and saying, still give it the round of fixtures.
I think that's where I'm at with it as well. Round the fixtures, and then you can kind of take stock and see where we are. All right, we'll leave the Morton game there and move on to some Desert Island pricks. Keep sending these in. Tweet us. You can tweet us at longbangers. You can email longbangers@gmail.com. And we'll also probably have another thread up on Hibs.net for this episode. So if anybody thinks of anybody, and what would be good is if you could give us some explanation for it as well, because we've got a few names here that'll go through, but it doesn't really tell us why you wouldn't want to be stuck in. Some of them are obvious, I suppose. So Billy Hibbs, I don't know if anybody listening is on Hibsnet, and Billy, I know you listen to this, but my favourite thing about Billy's post is how his phone autocorrects Hibs to capitals every time. So he's shouting, just like he gets excited at the word Hibs. That's what it looks like. So keep that up, Billy. But he wouldn't want to get stuck on an island with Ian Black, Craig Levein, or Wee Doddy from Old Co. Which for our younger listeners is Alec MacDonald. I think I'm right in saying that's who it is. I'm not that old myself. But Alec MacDonald, who also was a Hearts bastard. So more the reason not to get stuck on an island with him. Ian Black is also in Togs 91's list. He's got Paul Hartley and Rudy Scatcho along with him. Kind of think why you wouldn't want to be stuck on an island with those three. If you were on an island with no laws about murder, might be a good thing.
Oh, then you pay for the fights, don't you?
And Big Wheel had Jim Traynor, Gordon Smith, and Rudy Scatcho as well. The good thing with Rudy Scatcho as well is if you lie him down, his nose is big enough that he acts as a great sundial.
Would be a perfect sundial, right. And of course, if there's no food on the island and you have to resort to cannibalism, Jim Traynor keeps you going for quite some time, to be fair.
Scatcho's nose would also provide a good amount of shade as well. Kind of if it was, I think everybody assumes you're on a hot island when you get stranded, so you're going to be looking for a wee bit of shade. So
you would, the only concern I could think with that would be if it was dark, if you were lying down asleep and you just sort of squinted for your eyes, you would think a shark had made its way on with you with a big dorsal fin, because he has certainly got that hook nose about him, the little prick. I actually seen him years and years and years ago, and he was running. It was in Bruntsfield, actually. I was on a building site at the time, and he ran past me. And one of my regrets, actually, I was just stood at the top of the stairs, the stoop, if you like, and I probably, from where I clocked him to the distance it would have taken me to get down the stairs, I probably could have launched myself at him and took him out the game, but I never. And he still walks freely to this day.
It's an opportunity missed. I'll tell you another wee fact about Scatcho is he used to stay not too far away from him. His house had the record for the number of times that his windows were broken. And he didn't live close, he was just a stone's throw away. Aye. Paul Hartley stuck on an island with him. I think the good thing is if you were stuck on an island with Paul Hartley, you're going to be a bit self-conscious about how you're looking after a while. Limited opportunities to wash and change your clothes. But you look at Paul Hartley and he looks like he's been there 4 or 5 years ahead of you. Anyway,
he does.
So there's a wee morale booster if you needed it, if you were stuck on an island with him.
Aye, he looks like he's just crawled out of a sewer.
Aye. And Big Wheel, I should point out, he said Gordon Smith, and I should point out it wasn't the Hibs Gordon Smith, it was the Rangers one.
The very detestable Gordon Smith.
I can imagine if Big Wheel was sitting listening to this, he'd be going, come on, make that clear. Because that'd be a bit harsher otherwise. We've got celebrity encounters. So I don't think anybody's topped Tony Drago yet. We had Rod Stewart was one of the ones that came in. Now, I have to apologise because I can't get into my Twitter to say who sent that one in. Dander of Hibs, he served Alan McLaren in full Rangers suit and tie, paying for his petrol. That would be at New Craig Hall, or no, Duddingston. The petrol station used to be there. I think it's like a Farm Foods or something now. And Alan McLaren we were surprised he was allowed in the petrol station because his face, I think, would give off heat that is probably dangerous in that environment.
It would, aye. That'd be, he's more flammable than a wet fag.
What's tomato with you, Alan? With your bright red pus.
That's a red coupon. That's like a sand blasted tomato. That
sand blasted tomato. Right.
It was Michael Donachie that met Rod Stewart.
Was it?
I'm just checking Twitter now.
Well found.
At Heavy Mick, and there was obviously, if you've not seen it on Twitter, Beldam Laskar.
This is Dave McPherson, mum.
Dave McPherson. I was rolling about the bed.
Read this one out because this is a cracker.
Right, I'll need to go to the. Right, let me just make sure I've got this for the. Here we are. This is it, word for word. This is a beauty. I was at a party at the boat at the shore in Leith. It was a Valentine's Day party. The theme was sailors and mermaids. Come 2 a.m, me and my pal are heading home, walking past Cavios. Is it Cavios or Cavios?
I have no idea.
I'll go for Cavios.
Cavios, it sounds better,
The old boy, Mr. Cavio, was outside taking in signs or having a cigarette. He's not too sure. He gets really excited. Sailors, he exclaims. Because for some reason these boys were dressed as sailors.
How I know.
Please, we're closed. We're coming for a drink. I was in the Navy. So, before we can say, we're just twats who have hired these for £20, we're inside with a couple of rum and cokes. Also inside is a group of 15 to 20 people who give us an undeservedly appreciative reception. One guy comes up, and my mate, who's a Jambo, has a look of amazement on his face. By my eyes is Dave McPherson. I have to admit, I didn't know who he was at the time. I was 4 sheets to the breeze. But there were others there, Jambos. I've dropped him a line to ask because I have a feeling this was more of a life event for him than it was for me.
So I think the key message I'm getting for that is it pays to dress yourself as a sailor.
It does, aye.
Aye, it's not something I've ever thought of doing. But...
No, I don't think. No, I've certainly not. I have wore some outrageous get-ups, to be fair, but dressing up as a sailor is not on my to-do list. Or the missus either.
Yeah, we'll mark that down for the Christmas night out. There we go. Dress up as sailors and hang about in Leith. What else could go wrong?
What else could go wrong?
Right. I've got another couple of emails that I'll read out on the next episode just because I'm having some technical issues. Mostly the technical side of my brain isn't functioning today. So the next thing we've got is our 2010 left back. So like last week, we'll be settled very quickly on David Gray. Any arguments for Lewis Stevenson?
Nah, it obviously has to be him. I was actually trying to think of any other left backs in that period that have made, say 50 appearances for Hibs. I couldn't even think of one.
No, there's probably not been one in that time frame. I mean, Lewis has been pretty steady. I mean, who had Packy Jabi? Remember him?
Oh dear, the Gambian Carlos.
The Gambian Carlos. Aye. I don't think they've ever seen Roberto Carlos in Gambia.
No. Jesus, that free kick! Remember that free kick?
It's actually gave me the fear remembering him in a Hibs jersey. He was awful.
He was shite.
He was one of these signings you get excited about, though. It's like you see him and you see his YouTube and you go, oh, this is going to be decent. Can't wait to get a free kick. And the free kick he did get, I'm sure he put it in for a throw-in.
It was an absolute daisy cutter that threatened an advertising board on the touchline. It was horrendous. But like you say, I mean, anyone that signs and says back home, I'm known as Roberto Carlos, you think, wow, this boy's got confidence. He must be decent. He turned out to be absolutely horrendous.
He wasn't that good.
And wee Louis just he's seen them all off, hasn't he?
He's seen them all. He's got an incredible record, Lewis Stevenson. He stays not too far away from me. We'll go back to like the laws about stalking and stuff, which is probably the only thing that kind of keeps me away from. I bump into him in Tesco now and again, and he always stops for a chat. He's a lovely guy. He actually had his laddie. There's a wee AstroTurf up at Dulwich Leisure Centre in Dunfermline, and Josh was up playing with his pals, and Lewis came in with his laddie and had a kickabout with him. I thought it'd be brilliant. And if I take myself to Josh's age and getting to play, have a kickabout in the AstroTurf with a Hibs player, that would have been an amazing thing.
Oh,
so
God,
he still stops, and if we see Josh, if Josh and I see Lewis in Tesco, he'll always stop for a wee nat and ask Josh how he's getting on and everything. So, top man, he definitely goes in for me.
Mr. Hibs.
Mr. Hibs. Right, we've got Darren McGregor injured. He had an abdominal injury. He's going to be out for a few weeks, but we're quite well covered in that area, so not an ideal situation, but could have been worse.
Could have been worse. I think Poaches is getting back to full fitness. Jackson, like I say, who came in on Saturday and I thought was arguably a contender for man of the match. I think Big Flo deservedly took it.
Yeah.
But Jackson was fine. You've got Hanlon there who, again, I'm going to be a wee bit controversial here, needs to up his game, big style for me. I think if Paul Hanlon was anybody other than Paul Hanlon, who's been at Hibs for all his career and has the Scottish Cup winners medal, he'd be coming in for a hell of a lot more criticism than what he's had so far. I love the big fella. I've always, my only criticism of him when he was younger was his. I thought he had to bulk up a wee bit. Which he seems to have done. I rarely see him getting dominated as much as he used to. I remember the guy who was the boy that Motherwell had?
Curtis Bain? Or
no, it was before then. He ended up going over to some Dutch side, I think.
They start with an H, I think.
Big battering ram.
Big Huddy.
One of the listeners can think me on it. I think Hibs tried. We were linked with him, I think.
Probably were.
Afterwards. But I remember he just gave him an absolute... just taught him a lesson for 90 minutes. And Hanlon did. I think he hit the gym, bulked up. He's had some years where he's just been absolutely outstanding for us, an absolute rock. Lovely left foot, good going forward. But I think, like I say, a wee bit controversial. This season and the tail end of last season, I think he just needs to up the game a wee bit.
I think since his injury, he got injured. His form before his injury was terrific. He got injured, came back, and he's not quite been the same. I really rate Hanlon. I think the season where we went down, if Hanlon had stayed fit that season, we would have stayed up.
100%.
I think he was that important to us.
Yep.
Well, I hope Darren McGregor gets back up to fighting fitness soon. And speaking of Porteous, him and Glenn Middleton called up to the Scotland squad.
Aye, that's good. Good news. I've got huge hopes for Porteous and Fraser Murray as well. Actually,
yeah.
You see these young lads. I see these young lads playing tonight, and obviously Mackie was in the team as well. But that's for these young guys trying to break into the team. Porteous, Murray. That's the two you're looking at and thinking, I won't. I want to go. I want to be where they are. Basically. Huge hopes for the two of them. Porteous is only going to get better and better, I think. He really has been a shining light for us. He's a wee bit rash sometimes and he flies into challenges, but I like that about him.
He's solid, isn't he? I mean,
yes.
And he's fearless and he's talented. And Middleton getting the move as well. So obviously, you see this so many times. Player gets overlooked when they're at the Old Firm and they come to Hibs and they're straight in an international squad.
Oh, of course.
It's an age-old story, that one. So he'll be glad he's moved already.
Oh, of course. He's pretty still in the spotlight. But he was another one on Saturday who looked... I wouldn't say he was fantastic, but it's one of the ones. You look at somebody for 5 minutes and you just know that's a player. He's the amount of times he was getting the ball shelled at him, and whether he was getting it on the run or whether he was stood still, he seemed to just trap it, as if it was a bag of cement. He just killed the ball, stone dead every time. I think he'll be a very big player for us this season. Obviously, in Martin Boyle's absence, he does give us that wee bit something different. So, good news. Good for the two of them. Good for Hibs. A bit more exposure for us. For any young player, you come to Hibs, and there's if you're good enough, you'll get in the team,
Aye.
and you will get international recognition.
So it is a good thing. Now, I saw a few kind of disgruntled voices on Twitter about Porteous getting into the Scotland squad when he's not been playing for Hibs, and they're a bit concerned about his fitness. But surely I would think if you can get him game time in that environment, that's going to be good for his recovery and good for the club.
Aye, if he's not getting game time for Scotland, they would need to get game time for Hibs. So if he's got to make a mistake, I'd rather do it for Scotland under 21s than Hibs in a Premier League match.
That's true. Okay, right. So, got to introduce another new feature to add to our already kind of, let's face it, pretty bollocks Desert Island Bricks and famous encounters. This one is Duncan Dares. So, if you're of an age to remember Blue Peter, there was a chap on there called Peter Duncan who did a kind of spin-off show called Duncan Dares, where he would do some mad stunts. I don't know if he still does them. Tried to Google him and get a decent image for our Twitter, and it was almost unrecognisable. Obviously, as many years have passed since he's done this kind of thing. So instead, I put a picture of Duncan Dares annual up. And what I liked about this is I tweeted a kind of can anybody guess where this is going? The Duncan Dares, and the first answer that came back in was Jason Cummins. I thought I wasn't where I was going with that one, but fair play to you. So it isn't anything to do with Jason Cummins. So the idea of this one is I'd like anybody listening to pick somebody associated with Hearts or a Duncan, and imagine that you can set them up to any kind of stunt that you would want to put them through. So my choice for Duncan Dares this week would be to put Harry Potter in as a human cannonball and shell him from one end of Time Castle to the other, just to see how he bloody likes it. So that's my one. Have you got one for us, Brian?
I had the thought of one, but a Duncan Dares. I'm going to be honest. You've certainly shown your age. I remember Blue Peter, but Duncan Dares is a new one on me. I'm guessing this is just you're just daring someone to do something.
Aye, so he would do like
it's what it says on the tin.
Aye, he would do mad stuff like like parachuting out a helicopter, and I'm going to try and find some of his Duncan Dares while we're talking. But you imagine like 80s TV, low budget, but some of the then things that nowadays would be completely banned on health and safety grounds. You know, they would look at it and go, "Nah, we're not doing that." Well,
mainly because most of them are under Operation U-Tree, to be fair.
There must be a list. I'm just trying to find. There must be a list of his dares that he had to do.
Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take inspiration from you, and I'm going to say Craig Levein as well. And his dare, I'm going to make him watch a rerun of Hearts, Dundee versus Hearts, 1986, and he's going to watch the full 90 minutes whilst eating a chicken madras and a vindaloo, and he's got to promise not to shit himself.
Aye, I wasn't expecting that one.
No, I'm just trying to think on my feet here.
Aye.
90 minutes of him having hot, spicy food, and he's unable. He's got no access to a toilet at all. No toilet roll, nothing. 90 minutes.
You could add some jeopardy to that by showing images of Dens Park from the 80s, flashing that in front of him. Right. As we were talking, we've got these are a terrific list of things that Peter Duncan did. So episode 1 in series 1 is called Stuntman, and he had to jump 40 feet from a roof to escape enemy agents. Crashing a car at high speed and being set on fire are part of the rest of the day for him. That's decent, eh?
That's a Saturday night in Trinent, to be fair.
Dragon boat races was the next one, travelling halfway around the world to be thrashed by the Far Easterns at their national sports. But after weeks of training, he was ready to take on all comers. So that's good. He's actually kind of gone on to do some martial arts.
Oh.
He's a mental. He climbed the Old Man of Store, if I'm pronouncing that right. He has to do an icy swim across the channel to get there. Aye, what a lunatic.
He's fair play to him. Everybody needs a hobby, I suppose.
Aye, tightrope walking and all sorts. They've got things like would he lie on a bed of nails or get in with a load of bees and would you wear a beard of bees, walk over hot coals and let a tarantula walk across your bare chest? So there's some food for thought if you want to get Jambos involved with life-threatening situations for our amusement. Send them in to us at Longbangers on Twitter or longbangers@gmail.com.
Can you get Ian Black to paint the Forth Road Bridge?
Aye. On a bungee rope.
Aye, he was there tonight. I should have spoke to him. He's I know all High Beat listeners would be desperate to find out how young Blackie's doing. He's fine. He had a cup of tea, and we accused him of shitting it. Hence why he wasn't playing tonight. I think he's picked up an injury of some sort. Whereas in reality, I think he just seen the size of Big Siddiqui and thought,
nope,
I've got a sore ankle.
I'll pass on that one. All right, we're nearly time to wrap it up. We've got a preview of St Johnstone, so how do you think that's going to go?
Oh, God. You'd asked me last week about Morton, and I said Hibs would win 3-0, and I was obviously, I wasn't too far off for that. St Johnstone they're not doing great, are they? I don't think they've had a great start to the season.
So they've had a hiding for Celtic, and then they came back for 2-0 against Livingston to get 2-2. And that's their games this season.
I don't think all is well with them under Tommy Wright from what I hear. Don't get me wrong, I'm not in the know, but now and again you get wee snippets, and I don't think all's well with them. Hibs St Johnstone. I am. You know what, Matthew? I'm going to say 0-0.
0-0.
What the hell is wrong with me lately? I'm going to say 0-0. What about you?
I think Hibs will win. I think it will be comfortable. 2-0. I don't think St Johnstone will look like scoring. We might threaten our own goal just for the banter.
Just because it's what we do these days.
I predict Tommy Wright to look really, really angry because he always looks really, really angry. But I always think like Tommy Wright, can you imagine him at Christmas time? You would always think you bought him a shit present. He's never happy.
He isn't happy. Yeah, he always looks as if one team's just let him down on his accumulator.
Aye. Yeah, here you go, Tommy. We've got your Xbox. And what the fuck is this? Can't do an Irish accent. But no, definitely not his
glad
one.
you said that.
I'd
like to hear him say totally tropical tastes. In fact, I'd like to hear you say totally tropical taste in Tommy Wright's accent.
A totally tropical taste.
That was more. In your defence, that was a very good Eamon Holmes.
He's never as angry as Tommy Wright.
Tommy Wright wouldn't even be offended by that.
He'd be fucking angry by it, though, right? You can imagine him raging, looking at me with utter disdain. I'd already be running now.
He wouldn't catch these. I think his sprinting years are behind him, Tommy.
Well, you've not seen me.
No, well, you done a run tonight, did you not?
I did. It wasn't a fast one, though. I reckon if I was getting a chase off of Tommy Wright, it'd be like when a lorry overtakes another lorry on the motorway. The world's worst police chase. If you're listening to Tommy, as I imagine you probably are, I didn't really mean it, but cheer up anyway. And I'll go for 2-0 to the Hibs.
2-0 with the Hibs. So fingers crossed. I desperately hope I'm wrong, but I think I don't know. I think I'm just going through a sort of pessimistic stage with Hibs, and I really need to snap out of it, to be honest.
You've got to enjoy the football, eh?
You do.
Snack of the week, then we'll round up. I was going to plump for a twirl. So my team have... I know. We have had a bit of debate at my work. So this week we've are trialling these longer shifts. So we're going to do longer shifts over 4 days and get alternate Monday, Fridays off, which is a pretty good thing to have. It means every other week we get a 4-day weekend. And one of the things that I did for the team the night is when we got to about 4 o'clock, I thought everybody's going to be flagging a wee bit. So we've got a wee stash of chocolate. So I went down and did a choice, a Whisper Gold or a Twirl. And then that sparked a bit of debate about which was better. And then somebody chucked Ripples in to say, do they come in? 3 twirl trumps. The twirl trumps the ripple. It's better than the Whisper Gold, but if there was a standard Whisper, that would have won. But my snack of the week's gone for the twirl, just for the lift it gave my team.
Aye. You get, well, with a twirl, you get 2 of them, don't you?
Aye.
A ripple's just the one.
Ripple's quite sticky in your mouth as well. You know, the Galaxy chocolate can be like that.
Aye. A ripple's better with a cup of tea, I think. A ripple's probably the best. Out of the 3 of them, I think a ripple's best with a cup of tea. But what you say, it does get a bit sticky, and if you're adding liquid into the mix, that's a good choice of twirl. It's done well there.
Aye, decent, eh? What about you? Got anything to add to it? You were at Aldi earlier.
I alluded to it earlier on Twitter. If anybody wants to follow me on Twitter, I don't actually know what my Twitter name is.
Brian Dickey 5.
Brian Dickey 5. Why did somebody's gave me the 5? It must be Twitter itself. I've made I was going to say a long-awaited comeback. It's no. I've been off all social media for about 3 or 4 years now because Twitter was the last one I had, and I genuinely was tweeting Barack Obama and stuff like that, asking if he wanted to meet at the lock-in before a Hibs game and asking him what he thought about Alan O'Brien, etc. I was just the dick's dick. But obviously, when I was doing long bangers, I thought I'm going to jump on the social media bandwagon and get on there. So yes, I did allude to it earlier. I'm off to Aldi again. I think this is the 3rd week on the trot now. I've went back there, but I'm going to go for Abernethy biscuits.
Oh yeah, boy.
Which I didn't even know existed up until I think 2 weeks ago, and actually just before we went on air, you'd actually sent me the link to going on the podcast. Just as I'd sat down with a cup of tea and 5 of these biscuits, so I had to absolutely horse them to my throat as quick as I could. So I wasn't chomping my way through this podcast, but for anyone that shops in Aldi and haven't yet had them, I'm sounding them out now to go for Abernethy biscuits. It's kind of like a rich tea, but with a sort of shortbready twist to them.
They're quality. Overlooked as well. Nice. They wouldn't be my go-to biscuit, but I wouldn't be disappointed by one if it cropped up.
No, they're definitely they are very tasty, and I'd copied in the Aldi Twitter handle in my tweet, hoping that I don't know, we could maybe struck up some kind of sponsor, we could have sponsored long bangers or that, but I've heard fuck all for them, so much for gym and efficiency.
Mr. Aldi, if Mr. Aldi is listening, and again, like the rest of them, why would he not be? Mr. Aldi, if you're listening, we are available. You can tell with the standard of the show, we've not got a sponsor yet, so we're available, very reasonable rates. And we'll not fire the sponsorship through as quickly as you fire our shopping through at the checkout. So, we'll do it justice as well.
We'll do it justice. Or alternatively, just give us £2 a month. Help a podcast appeal or something.
£2 a month. You could be buying Abernethy biscuits for folk who would otherwise have to do without. Right, that seems like a good point to wrap it up. Social media we are on. There is a Facebook page for Long Bangers, which is longbangers.com, although we've not actually set up that website yet. So if anybody's good at websites and want to do that for us, then feel free. At Long Bangers on Twitter, follow us, retweet us, encourage your pals to follow us. The more people that follow and listen, the easier it is to do these things. And get in touch, longbangers@gmail.com if you prefer email. If the character limit on Twitter restricts you giving us quite the amount of abuse that you would really like to give us, then I'm happy to take abuse over email as well.
We're actually up to, I've just done a wee check there. We're on 441 followers at the Long Bangers Twitter, so that's not bad.
That's decent going. Considering we're only 7 episodes in, we're still a fledgling podcast.
We are.
I should point out as well, say a wee quick thank you before we pack up to the Hibs Talk guys who do a great podcast themselves, and they give us a wee hand with some hints and tips on the social media side of things the other week as well. So thanks to you guys as well. Brian, it's been an absolute pleasure tonight, mate.
Yes, it has been, as always. Great to be on. And you might invite me back again, which would be great.
Aye, we're due to have so a couple of folk from Hibs will not announce who they are yet. Have agreed to come on the podcast in the near future, so we'll have some interesting times there. I'm a bit more using that as we firm up dates with them, and I think all that's left to be said is enjoy the game on Saturday when it comes. Have a good evening, everybody.
Cheers.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.